Hi, everybody. I am really happy to do this show right now because things kind of worked out today, kind of weird. And I wanted to showcase when you come across progressive liberal ideology, what can you say? What are some of those great insights that you wish you had where you want to say something to somebody that comes out with a CNN soundbite, but you don't really know like how to go about it? And so today's show was primarily centered on that. And I want to talk about this because I want to give you some of the highlights. I played this interview, and this was between two black people, and these two were talking about white privilege, okay? And the one gal, dressed to the nines, right, insisted that white privilege exists. Well, I love her black interviewer who really got down to like the nitty gritty on this and really said, really? Does it really exist? Listen up.
What is it?
How don't you
for
not
people
see
like me who
privilege?
don't see it?
How do you not? How do you not see white privilege?
Because it doesn't exist. That's
Yes,
what
it does.
So what is it exactly?
Things. I believe white privilege is just the ability just to be free and white and not have the same type of social, economic, and social ills as black people have to deal with. I mean, there's no.
Wait a minute. I'm just free and white. I didn't know I didn't have any problems. Did you? Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to hear that. I don't have any problems. No problems with money, no problems with kids, no problems with marriage. I'm just what? I'm proud to be here. Oh, wow. I'm just ruling the world. Okay. So that was her first one. Here's the second one she came up with.
White racial profiling. White people don't get pulled over by the cops just because they're white.
Oh, I'm sorry. They don't? Oh, my gosh. I don't think she's met teenagers. You know, the white kids that are driving around all those cars from the 1970s, the clunkers they got that are worth maybe $500. Do you know they're pulled over constantly? I know they're white, but you know, they get pulled over constantly. Why? Because they're driving like like a really old car, and maybe they're suspected of doing drugs or something like that. And so they pull them over on the pretense of some, light that was out that wasn't. And they pull them over to do a little whole search, and they think they can get away with it. No, I'm sorry. A lot of people are pulled over for race, or not for not being the race, but being just because they're suspiciously looking at the car or the situation or the car's driving slow. Has nothing to do with that. Black people are not the only people that are ever pulled over. Sorry, gal. Here you go. Here's her other one.
They have the ability to, show emotion and love to their sons without being emasculated. There's all kind of examples of white.
I'm sorry, what?
You believe
Absolutely. Why don't you black? How come you don't believe white privilege exists?
Yeah, I'm out of reason. So you're black. Why don't you believe it? And the guy's going, because it's not true. That's why. Because you know what? Leaving a home as a father, if you're going to do that, that's your choice. That isn't because white people took a gun to his head and said, you have to leave your home. So leave your children, your black children behind with no dad. And that's not in every situation, is it? Because I know a lot of black successful people in this world and can name a lot of black people that are multimillionaires and billionaires. And so you can even name our ex-president of the United States. So I'm sorry, but it just doesn't fly. And she could not honestly come up with any reasons as to why it did. Then she talked about getting into college and how she wanted to get into UCLA. And he said, did you earn it? And she said, no. It was affirmative action. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get in, then I'm going to scream racism. Because why? Wasn't a black union available for me. So I could have segregated study groups with my black counterparts, because without the union in place, I can't go find anybody to study with. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what to say to this girl. So this was one of those things where when you actually take the point that they say, right? The CNN soundbite, white privilege. Well, we go into guilt and shame. Do we have white privilege? I don't know. Do we have it? No. You know what the problem is they can never quantify it. They can never talk about it, and they can never give you evidence about it. That's why. And so it's very, shallow, actually. I mean, those were her answers. Extremely shallow. White men show emotion to their kids because they're around. Oh my gosh, honey. You need to get some new explanations. And the guy that was interviewing her that was black his face was like, well, why do you think it exists? It doesn't. Show me how. Give me some evidence. In the entire conversation and interview, she couldn't. Now, here is a person that had questions about the climate. And here's Jordan Peterson and all of his. I love Jordan Peterson. But here he is in his very bold way, just basically going, Nah, doesn't fly. But I want you to hear what he says about it, because this is very interesting, because this is the final point I'm going to get to today, is why the left and the right think the way they do. Here you go. And here's his answer. And this is the other professor asking him about these people that have all these questions about climate change. Here you go.
If a young person believes that the climate, the global warming problem on the climate is something that needs to be tackled quickly, and they can't wait until they grow up and become prime ministers to do it, do you think collective responsibility overrides individual responsibility in a huge issue?
Collective versus individual response. He goes, no.
Okay.
Jordan Peterson just goes, no.
I think generally people have things that are more within their personal purview that are more difficult to deal with and that they're avoiding, and that generally the way they avoid them is by adopting pseudo-moralistic stances on large-scale social issues so that they look good to their friends and their neighbors. That's what it looks
Absolutely.
like.
Absolutely. They want to look good to friends and neighbors. And so what they do, in a sense, is they take on this sort of idea that instead of looking in the mirror and solving oneself, okay, the individual, and if you think something needs to happen, you just do it for yourself. What they immediately do is climb into the argument of, I'm going to only work on societal problems that are bigger than me, that I think exist. Racism, sexism, all this stuff that they think is out there, preventing them from their goals. And what they want to do then is skip over self of looking in the mirror and identifying their own weaknesses, to then saying, I am going to go work on a societal problem. I'm going to go solve the world. And through that, I'm going to tell you exactly how you're going to do it. I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. I'm going to force you through the weight of the legislature. I'm going to tell them to tell you what you can do and what you can't do. And then I'm going to go solve your problems for you. And this is where we get into the big, huge problem. See, we have a free country, a good country, somewhat free, and not as free as we think. Let's just put it that way. And here we have this country, and we have all of the foundational qualities, if you will, that help us to live the life we want to live while looking at self. We have that option. This is what's fantastic. We have this great availability to do that because we have God-identified rights that are observed by government, or supposed to be. And so we have this in this nation, okay? We have the opportunity to do this. But instead of being happy with that, and instead of just solving oneself and having the moral aptitude to do that, the honesty to do that, what they do is they jump over it to then go and solve the world's problems by force. And they think that they're doing something wonderful, and they pat themselves on the back and they're like, ooh, self-love, right? Self-love, because aren't I amazing? Aren't I amazing? And isn't this a great thing for me to go do? And you need to give me accolades, and I care about the world. Look at me. I'm special. Ooh, cozy hugs. Cozy hugs for me all around because I'm this amazing person. No, you're more amazing, honey, when you look inside and when you look in the mirror and just solve yourself. You don't use the weight of Congress and the Senate, and you don't think every idea has to become a law to then curtail us, because really what it comes down to is you being able to say that you're going to have self-control and that you're going to do the things that you find by choice fundamentally important to you. And then leave us the hell alone. That's how that's supposed to work. And here we are living in a society and in election time where we're constantly told, and it's been shoved down our throat, all these little phrases from CNN. When the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. So I'm going to force everybody to give and make sure we take from you, and we're going to give to everybody else. When the rich get richer, do the poor get poorer? No. When the rich get richer, the poor get richer too, just not at the same level. And why is that? Because we have America, we have a choice, and we can invent ourselves. And some people are better singers, and some people are better athletes. And I'm not either one of those, but I can do other things. See, we all have opportunity, a baseline of opportunity. You take it, you run with it. Maybe you're good at making money, maybe you're not. See? But what does the left want to do? They want to jump in to provide you with a remedy for society's biggest ailment, and that is class inequality. And so what they want to do is solve this by giving you a cute little Bernie Sanders quote. Oh my gosh. Well, now it's a Biden quote. Doesn't he look ashen and almost on his deathbed? Wonder why. Anyway, but yes, they want Biden to tell you that, and Harris, or is it Harris Biden? I think she wants to take over like within like hours after they get in, if that's the case. Anyway, she wants to tell you that the poor get poorer and the rich get richer, and this is truth, and that we're a sexist, racist nation, and that we're full of hate, and we're all going to die every decade at the end of the decade from climate change. And it's not true. That's just how it goes. It's just not true. But they have to hurry, and give you their world society sort of angle at fixing the world so that you don't realize what they're doing. That's why they're always in a hurry to do it. And that's why they always want to do it with blanket force. Anyway, go to katedalleyradio.com. Make sure you tune in and make sure you get those podcasts, share them. We really do need to kind of get a handle on how to talk to each other and what we can say. And in the show video or in the show audio, I go over all kinds of different topics, everything from LGBT to and what is wrong with the political side of LGBT, all the way to critical race theory and class inequality to this huge lie that we're told that white privilege is surrounding us at every turn. And so I do hope you go to katedalleyradio.com, share the podcast far and wide, and let's just get people educated so they can have these conversations over the Thanksgiving dinner that they're going to have, and not virtually, by the way. No Thanksgiving's virtual. Come on, guys. Flood social media with those pictures of those big group gatherings and stick it to them, those that are trying to control our lives. Thanks, you guys. katedalleyradio.com.